he's been in the middle of this lineup. I think it lengthens the lineup a little more. He's really slid into that role really well. You don't feel like anymore after Judge that it's automatic outs.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias, and today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code all lowercase LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. With me, as usual, my co-host, Brian McKeon. Brian.
Best game of the year?
I think it's tied maybe, or like 1A to the Boston extra innings game, which I still think is a little better just because of the opponent and, you know, the way they had been playing at Fenway, but it's a close second, I would say. Before we get started, don't forget, subscribe to the podcast on whichever podcasting platform you prefer. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit the like button on our videos, hit the bell so you're notified whenever our videos go live. So today's show, we'll preview the finale against the Phillies, which is early today, 12:35 p.m. We're going to talk about the trade deadline. We'll talk about who the Yankees got, who they didn't get, some late breaking news from Ken Rosenthal as we were about to record regarding the Yankees and Jack Flaherty, who ended up going to the Dodgers. So we'll tell you about that. But first, let's talk about this crazy game in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell by watching Philadelphia why they're one of the best teams in the league, right? They're so complete. Their bullpen is awesome. Their starting pitching is really good. Their lineup just is hitter after hitter after hitter. They're going to be a really tough out when the postseason comes. It's one of the reasons why they've been a really tough out the last couple of years when the postseason comes. They're just a tough team, and Yankees showed a lot of resilience. They showed a lot of heart. It does feel like something has turned in this team a little bit, mainly because of, I'm sorry, blowing these leads that they did, and they blew 2 leads and 2 chances to win the game. Blowing the leads like they did, tell me I'm a liar, but this team falls down and dies a month ago when those leads when those leads are taken. They are. And to hold on to the leads, to get through the innings, and then for the offense to wake up and be able to respond in every single inning, played really well. You had another almost crucial error by Gleyber in the 9th. Clay Holmes wasn't good, but then Gleyber made the play to save you. So, I mean, overall, really, really, really solid game. And another series win, which is really important. But they really showed resilience, especially after being down from Nola early on in that game, and he got cruising, and they still were able to scrap 2 runs out of him. 5 runs out of him. They got across. 2 out of him. Strom, they got the other 3 on. Unbelievable game, and I mean, you're going to mention him later, right? But Jazz Chisholm, wow.
Wow is correct on that one. Now, the first thing about the game, obviously, was the late scratch of Gerrit Cole. We'll get into it later. Will Warren has to step in, make his major league debut. And other than, obviously, the mistake that he made to Austin Hayes, which resulted in a 3-run home run and giving the Phillies a 4-1 lead, he really settled down after that.
Yeah.
And, you know, before he had given up that home run, his first major league strikeout was Bryce Harper. So that is a very cool thing to have on your resume.
Oh, yeah. He's got good stuff. Not a ton of velocity on the fastball. I think that's what Girardi was really complaining about, and I kind of agree. He likes to go up in the zone with his fastball, and generally when you do that, you got to have velocity attached to it.
Yeah.
If you don't have velocity high in the zone and you put that ball up in the zone, most major league hitters are going to catch up to anything under 95.
Right.
And most of his fastball was around 94 living today. Apparently he can get it up to 97, but most of the day it was 94. And guys will turn on that in the major leagues. So that does concern me a little bit. Not a lot of velocity on the fastball. Other than that, though, the slider, that swerve slider thing he throws, really great movement on it. I liked what I saw out of him. A really, really good debut. Settled down, got big outs. Yeah, you really can't ask for more in a first performance than that. I don't know if he'll get many more starts going forward.
Right.
But this is a really good sign to start his career.
Right, considering how he was having a really rough time until his last 2 or 3 starts where he started settling down a bit. down in the minors. So he lasted 5 1/3, gave up those 4 runs, 4 hits, 2 walks, 6 Ks, and he retired 12 of the last 14 batters he faced.
I think that's why they called him up too, is the tough season that he's had. You want to instill some confidence in him. And I think after having the tough season that he had, calling him up to the majors, letting him get this start and start his career, that really gives you a vote of confidence. It really shows they believe in you, even though you've had a tough season. So I really, really love the way he played. Settled down really well. And like you said, retiring 12 of your last 14 batters, nothing to sneeze at, especially against this Phillies lineup.
Right. So let's talk about the man, the myth, the legend, Jazz Chisholm, because my God, what he's done so far as a Yankee, and the Yankees are undefeated since they traded for him. So,
mainly due to him.
Yeah.
It's not coincidence that he just happens to be playing with them. It's also the way that he's playing, and the now 4 home runs in his first 3 games. The last 2 games, 2 home runs in each game. The one that he had down the line was an absolute bomb today.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was a nuke. He knew it right off the bat too. It was a clutch at bat. He seems to fit really well in the middle of this lineup, and everyone kind of assumed when he got here that he was going to be leading off, and
Right.
that's not what Boone has done. He's been in the middle of this lineup. I think it lengthens the lineup a little more. He's really slid into that role really well. You don't feel like anymore after Judge that it's automatic outs.
Right.
With the
He's
way
also
Wells is hitting,
yeah.
with the way Wells is hitting and the way Chisholm's hitting,
Yeah.
you don't feel like it's an automatic out afterwards, and that is really important. It stretches the lineup out a lot. We've talked about it. It allows teams to be a lot more cautious to Judge when there's no one with any confidence following Judge. When there's 2 hitters now following Judge that are hitting well, and I do have to mention this too, although the fielding's been shaky and the comments have been bad over the last week, Gleyber Torres has picked up at the bat a lot in the last week also.
Yeah.
So if you count those 3 batters, that means guys have to pitch to Judge a little more, challenging now, and you're seeing it pay off because Judge over the last few games has been unbelievable, the amount of hits that he's had. So, it's all a big trickle-down effect. It's what we talked about. You can't have those automatic outs in the middle of your lineup because when you have guys that give you tough at-bats, it creates this trickle-down effect in the rest of your lineup. It lengthens the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. He also made a really great play at third in the bottom of the 7th to get Trey Turner out. Like, for someone who didn't play third before a couple of games ago, he's looked unbelievable in that position.
Very versatile player.
Like
Very
really
versatile
natural, no issues throwing to any of the bases. Like he's just, it's a joy to watch him right now. It's just really fun. And he's really embracing this role on the team. So 4 home runs in the first 3 games, first player in Yankees history to do that. He's the 2nd player in Major League history to do it. Trevor Story did that for the 2016 Rockies. 3 multi-hit home run games with the Marlins in 405 games. He now has 2 in 3 games with the Yankees.
He's also a breath of fresh air. And I think there was a point that was made recently that I think it speaks a lot to what he's done for this team. He could take anybody's job on this team. He could take Gleyber's. He could take Verdugo's. He could take Grisham's in center field. He could take anybody's job on this team. And I think that's why you're seeing a lot of guys step their game up lately. Grisham's played a lot better. Verdugo's played a lot better. Torres has hit a lot better. I think that has a lot to do with it too. When you bring a guy in and these guys all know when this team's fully healthy, he is going to play, and he could very well be the guy that plays over you in a postseason game, over you in a big game, over you in a big game where you want to impress to get a new contract. It makes everybody else set their game up a little bit, and you're seeing that out of the rest of the guys in this team. I don't love that Grisham was the only positional player you added at the deadline, but it was a damn good add. It looks like that so far.
Yeah. Chisholm. You said Grisham.
Yeah.
I mean, they're similar. I confused.
Did I say that? Well, I said Grisham being center field, but did I say Grisham there too?
You did.
My bad. Chisholm.
Yeah, they're similar. Quickly, game goes into extras. Mark Leiter Jr. makes his debut for the Yankees. He arrived in the 4th inning. Good for him. Like they activated him. They knew he was going to be there, so they activated him. But wearing number 38 and did pretty well.
ERA fairly high in Chicago, but you really can't judge ERAs on bullpen guys because it takes one bad inning and their ERA is skyrocketed the whole year.
We're going to talk about that in segment 2. I have all the pertinent numbers for everyone to know about because everyone automatically looks at the ERA and thinks, oh God, but there are other numbers that he has and he showed
that are really impressive.
Yeah. And he showed some of his pitching repertoire as well that you will notice.
Because I mean, his stuff looked filthy in the what was it, the 10th inning today? His stuff looked really good. I do want to say too, that is the one area where I'm upset, and I did text you about this. They didn't go out there and get a closer, and you know I've been saying this all year, and I think it proved itself more again. Clay Holmes can't close big games.
No,
can't.
No. All right, we will move some of the stuff into segment 2 because we have to do that. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on our videos, hit the notifications so you know when our videos go up. Fan Mail Friday, every Friday, we have a pinned comment on our videos Monday through Thursday. You leave your questions there. We will answer them as long as they're not duplicate questions. We also have an Insiders Club, the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. You join it. You get texts from us. You can text us questions, comments, reactions to the game. I'm sure there's tons of them on Tuesday. Reacting to this game. There's a 14-day free trial, and everyone who's there loves it. Coming up, the Yankees made some moves. We're going to talk about them. We're also going to talk about the breaking news that Ken Rosenthal had, because it's interesting.
PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000. With the NBA season over, the hoops action doesn't stop on PrizePicks. Women's basketball is still heating up, and with stars like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese looking to make names for themselves, alongside greats like Breanna Stewart and Ajay Wilson, you can win up to 100 times your cash watching them ball out. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match of up to $100. That's code one word LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks for a deposit match of up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Welcome back to Locked On Yankees. Locked On Sports Today is a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the noise. Locked On Sports Today brings you canvas analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And don't forget that you can catch every pitch of the Yankees' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. You just got to download those SXM app and search the word Yankees. Stacey, little upset coming into today that the Yankees hadn't made crazy moves. And I think going through the day, a lot of fans were getting a little agitated and a little angry too. The Yankees weren't making big moves. Everybody obviously knew as a couple of days gone by with the Jazz Chisholm trade, and everyone liked that move, but you thought there was more coming. And personally, I thought there was more coming. It kind of did bother me that they weren't more big moves. I really did want Diaz. They weren't able to squeeze that one in. McMahon, I would have liked. They weren't able to squeeze that one in. But otherwise, they did acquire Mark Leiter Jr. I don't think a pitcher that everyone's very familiar with. He does come from Tom's River, and no Yankee player before has ever come from Tom's River, believe it or not. But overall, not tremendous numbers when you look at his numbers. But as you said in the last segment, there's more behind the numbers, and I want to let you go through that.
Right. If you look at the ERA, it looks scary because it's 4.21, but he has 13 holds. He also, his K per walk or K to walk ratio before Tuesday night's game, he had 53 strikeouts, 13 walks in 36 and 1/3 innings.
Yeah.
So the 53 strikeouts in only 36 and 1/3 innings is really good. He had 7 straight scoreless appearances coming into the game Tuesday. So add 8 because he didn't give up a run. Other guys did. He throws a sinker, a splitter, a curve, a sweeper, and a cutter.
Mm-hmm.
So he has a lot of different pitches. More importantly, he's a swing and miss guy out of the pen, which is what the Yankees want. His whiff rate is 37%.
And they needed that. That they don't have enough of that in their bullpen. They really don't have enough of that. And you could tell even in the extra innings watching this game last night. All of it was balls in play, deep fly balls, a lot of it. So they've needed swing and miss out of their bullpen. They finally found someone with it. His numbers are really supportive towards that. He's under a lot of team control in the future too, which is really beneficial to the Yankees, and they like that a lot too. He'll be with this club for a while. Again, I thought there were going to be more moves made, but this is a sneaky, really good move that, quite frankly, I don't think a lot of people saw coming.
Right. No. And I think you're right. I think it's one of those sneaky good moves that might actually pay off. The other things that have happened, they were able to trade away Caleb Ferguson to the Astros of all trade partners. The Yankees acquired right-handed pitcher Kelly Austin, and they got international signing bonus pool money from the Astros in exchange for Ferguson. He just, couldn't cut it in New York. His ERA was over 5. He was just having a lot of trouble. And, when the Yankees first made that move, Steve and I thought it was great because he did really well in LA, and we thought that he would be a good bullpen piece, and he just couldn't put it together. And sometimes that happens, and maybe, well, no, he'll do better in Houston, don't you?
Let's hope not.
The last move that the Yankees made just before the trade deadline, they acquired Enyel De Los Santos, a righty from the Padres. Now, he has a 4.46 ERA through 40 1/3 innings. He has a 10.7 K per 9, so that's not too shabby. He does have a tendency to give up the long ball sometimes, but they didn't have to give up too much to get him. And it's just another one of those shoring up the bullpen moves. I think the big move here out of these moves, obviously, is Leiter Jr.
I have more faith in the Leiter Jr. one, too. The De Los Santos one concerned me a little more just because he is more of a fly ball pitcher and more of he gives up the long ball a lot when Yankee Stadium doesn't really a coy favor to those kind of guys that give up home run balls a lot. We've seen a lot of guys in Yankee Stadium before that are home run guys. Usually they struggle. Also, the fact that the Padres were moving so many people. The Padres were involved in, it felt like, every trade.
Preller went nuts.
Yeah, so being willing to move him doesn't give me a lot of faith either. But again, if he comes in and pitches well, I don't know. We don't know a lot about these random bullpen pitchers out of the rest of the league. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I was watching all of Enyel De Los Santos appearances for the Padres. We know what his stats are. We know what his projections are. We know what kind of pitcher he is. That's what we can give you. But the Leiter move is the highlight of trade deadline day for sure.
Yeah. Speaking of the Padres, before we get into the Jack Flaherty stuff, because that was the breaking news with Ken Rosenthal, Tanner Scott goes to the Padres. They gave up their 2nd, 4th, 5th, and 24th ranked prospects to get him. And he's a free agent after the season.
Tanner Scott's good, but that is a haul to give up for a guy that you haven't re-signed.
Right. Like lot. That's So Jack
Flaherty, and if you're a Yankee fan, would you have been comfortable with that?
No.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, you're talking about a lot for a guy that's not signed.
Right. That's a lot. That's too much. But, we'll see how he does with the Padres. So Jack Flaherty, apparently the Yankees did have a deal. They were working on something, and then they saw his medicals and said, The problem was he's had lower back issues. This is from an article by Ken Rosenthal. This came out literally right before we started recording and right as the game was ending in Philly on Tuesday night. He's had lower back issues, which caused him to get 2 injections in a span of 3 weeks, but he's made 3 starts in those 3 weeks, and he's pitched to a 1.53 ERA in just under 16 innings. But I think the Yankees were burned by Frankie Montas, and they are a little afraid of anything like that. And I kind of don't blame them because the Montas thing turned out to be really bad for them. And, like when they knowingly trade for an injured player like Harrison Bader, it's different than trading for a player that you don't realize is as hurt as, So I think that's part of the reason why
he's been really good this year though. And I don't think it would have took as much because there's no control under him. Flaherty's a free agent after this year. So if he came over here and if he was hurt and he went straight to free agency, okay, it was a mistrade. It wouldn't have taken much to get him here. I don't love bailing out on this move because I think it's shown that they're going to need another starter at this point, and not having him. I mean, he's a really, really solid pitcher, and he's now going to go at the back end of the Dodgers rotation, which is absolutely huge. I'm also stunned that Nestor stayed on this team.
Me too.
I really thought with all of the noise going on around, talking about a solid left-handed pitcher, I really thought Nestor was going to be gone. And I honestly started to believe going into yesterday that Gleyber Torres was going to be gone. I'm shocked with his comments. I think he thought he was going to be gone too because of the comments he made. His comments came across as really tone deaf for a guy who leads the league in errors for second baseman. But he made him. I don't expect Gleyber Torres to be here next year. I think the Chisholm trade says that all. I think he's going to be your second baseman next year. Which is, kind of sad because Gleyber Torres, I really think, started his career off as a superstar and kind of tapered off the last few years. But a lot of moves that I think it shaped out at the start of the week. Like we all thought the Yankees were going to be making these crazy, crazy big moves. It didn't shake up that way. Sometimes it happens like that, but I really thought it was going to be more than it wound up being.
Right. So quickly, Lucas Erceg from the A's goes to the Royals. Yandy Diaz was rumored between the Yankees and the Astros, and he didn't get moved, right? Okay, because I'm just making sure, because I was trying to keep track of everything, and there was so much stuff going on.
No, I think that's the most shocking move out of all of a trade deadline is that Yandy Diaz wasn't touched.
Yeah. Obviously, Garrett Crochet wasn't either because of the stuff that he was saying. The Orioles made some moves.
Eloy Jimenez is now an Oriole, and that's I think in a year where everybody thought it was going to be Crochet or Luis Robert Jr. going to get moved. All of a sudden, I know where Eloy Jimenez gets moved, and that was a name that no one thought you were going to see get moved. And I'm sorry, Stacey, you see him now buried in the middle of that Orioles lineup with the upgrades they made to their bullpen. That is a really, really scary team now with Eflin as their middle relief guy or a starter. And again, Eloy Jimenez, he doesn't have to be a guy at the top of their rotation driving runs in, right? He's not going to play at the bottom of their lineup, and he got no pressure involved in him, hitting behind Henderson, hitting behind Santander, hitting behind Jackson Holiday, who got called back up today, who's been killing the ball in AAA. This Orioles team made a lot of upgrades, and I think it made a lot of sense.
Yep. All right, coming up next, the finale between the Yankees and the Phillies. It's an early one. We're going to talk about it. Get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trades, supplyhouse.com. Supplyhouse.com is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support, an industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business, and talk to a real person every time. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining SupplyHouse.com's free Trade Master program. Every Trade Master gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at supplyhouse.com/TM and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere. Just a few clicks at supplyhouse.com and you get them. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV Channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today, now available on the free Fire TV Channels app. And remember, you can catch every pitch of the Yankees hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search the word Yankees. There we go. All right, so the guy that we all thought wasn't going to be a Yankee once the trade deadline hit, will be starting Wednesday afternoon in Philly, 12:35 start, very early start. So if you're watching this in the afternoon, the game probably already happened.
Yep. Or it's on. Go turn the channel on.
Yeah.
Nestor, I think there's a good chance you could see him come out with a little bit of an angriness to him, a little bit steamed up to him. Almost getting traded from this team. He's been through a lot with the Yankees. Really, his whole career, the success that he's had has been with the Yankees. And I kind of feel bad for him. That's a tough couple of hours to go through when you're being talked about as almost a guarantee to be traded, and then you don't get traded. It's like, what do you know? What do you think? But he's struggled on the road. I mean, there's no way of people wanted him because he's a consistent lefty, which is really hard to find in Major League Baseball. But he really has struggled on the road, and the Yankees kind of know him better than anybody else. He's had really good home starts, really bad road starts. You got to find a good rhythm for him. I don't think he's going to be making playoff starts anyway. That's why I really wasn't bothered by him not being traded if he was going to be, because he hasn't made many. He wasn't going to make any big time starts. We'll see. Christopher Sanchez has had a really nice year, a 3 ERA, 7-6, goes deep into games for the Phillies. They're a tough team to get 3 in a row. We'll see if the Yankees can do it.
Yeah. The Nestor thing is confounding because the Yankees are actually this year better on the road than they are at home right now. They're still 500 at home, but they're only like four games over because of that bad stretch they had. They had a stretch of 21 home games where they only won 6 of them. So that really did something to their home record. And I just think it's so odd that the team does better on the road and Nestor does better at home, where it's so I'm hoping that if he does have a rough-ish start, that maybe the Yankees can get to Sanchez because they've been hitting the past few days. I really hope he lasts a little longer than he has in past starts on the road, because the bullpen needs him to. They do have an off day on Thursday, so if they do have to use guys, it's okay because they can rest on Thursday, but you really don't want these guys to be too burned out.
No, you don't, especially the newer guys too. You want them to be able to get familiar with their teammates and stuff like that, get situated. You don't want to be giving them a lot of high stress innings lately, and you already went through a game last night that was all high stress. Pretty much the entire game was, especially going into extra innings. Every big name in your bullpen pitched in a high stress inning. You want to be able to, again, but this is what we talked about early on in the year, and I don't want to make it seem like Game 3 is meaningless because it's not. But Yankees took care of business. They won the series in Philadelphia. They won the series in Boston. That's what you have to do. And this is what we talked about, where building the cushion early on that they built was important, because it allows you now where, do you want to lose the game? No. But if you lose this game against Philadelphia on Wednesday, are you absolutely heartbroken? No, because you sit there and say, well, we won 2 out of 3. We took the series. We can move on. And that was the goal coming in. Again, you want to win the game. No one's arguing that they can go out and lose the game. But you create this cushion for yourself when you play as well as you do early on in the season, where you don't have to win every game you play. You got to try and win every series you play. And if they can still get into that mode and still use those early games to preserve themselves, now you start winning series against really bad teams that you're going to start seeing a lot in the month of August. You could really build yourself a really nice cushion going into September and get yourself on a really good roll.
Yeah, I'm impressed with what I've seen so far in this series, because the first game, they just beat up on them 14-4. And then in the second game, they fought back and were able to fight back a couple of times in order to win the game. And like you said, during their bad stretch, they would have lost the game. Probably in the 10th inning.
The resilience. It's the resilience of this team. And I don't think that you saw this coming when they were playing as bad as they were. And the fight against a really good team, against another team's ace. You're going up against Nola. You're down 4-1. You're getting a really good bullpen coming at you, and they fought and they clawed their way back. You didn't see that early on in the year, and now you're starting to see it, and you're starting to see it in the last 2 series. Now, again, be cautious, Yankee fans. This could turn on a dime at any moment. We've seen this team do that, but as of now, the way that they've played so far, you really can't complain. Especially coming out of the break, they didn't look so great, and now you play the Red Sox, who have been your bugaboo all year, and the best team in baseball, and you've really taken care of business. You got to be a little proud of that.
Yep. And I really think it turned around in that extra innings game against Boston. I feel like that was the moment where this turned around, and now they've won 4 games in a row.
Yep.
Oh my God. Remember the stretch when they couldn't win more than 2? And if that would be too much, my God, 4 in a row. Insane.
Yep. Impressive. Really impressive.
Just amazing. And on the road, they're doing this on the road. That's the other thing.
Against good teams.
Impressive. Yeah.
Against good teams. They're not beating up on the Rockies and the White Sox. They're playing good teams.
That's next month.
Hopefully.
One more time, you can catch every pitch of the Yankees hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search the word Yankees. On tomorrow's show, obviously, we'll recap the final game of the Phillies series. Hopefully it's a victory, but if it isn't, we will be calm. It's not like we're not going to be like we were last week. We're not. We're too happy right now. We'll try not to. And before we go, we want to thank you for making Locked On Yankees your first listen. We appreciate all of you for listening to us first thing in the morning. For your second listen, enjoy the Locked On MLB podcast. Host Paul Sullivan, aka your pal Sully, is here every day to provide you national expertise with his trademark humor to help you get ready for the playoffs. Already here in the dog days of summer, you can prepare for the Fall Classic with Sully, who has it all covered every single day on Locked On MLB. Available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And fun fact, Sully not only hosts Locked On MLB, but for now, because they couldn't get a permanent host, he's also hosting Locked On A's. So he's doing double duty and
More
recording
like triple,
10.
A's are hard to cover.
Yeah, 10 shows a week. So give
Good
Sully a click subscribe on Locked On MLB, and even, you know what, Locked On A's, why not? Because he's working his butt off for us at Locked On. So that'll do it for this edition of Locked On Yankees. I'm Stacey Gotsulias.
And I'm Brian McKeon. We'll see you guys tomorrow.